Before we begin, we'd love to know, where are you watching from? Please share your city in the comments below. This is a historic moment, and we want to know from which corners of the world you're witnessing what's happening in Jerusalem. The ancient stones of Jerusalem witness again. Pilgrims flood the narrow streets leading to the Western Wall. They come by thousands, from the Americas, from Europe, from Africa, from the farthest reaches of Asia. The air vibrates with anticipation. History and prophecy converge at this sacred hour. The sun begins its descent over the golden city, painting the limestone walls with hues of amber and gold. Families walk together, dressed in white. The elderly lean on canes, determined to participate. Children ask questions, their eyes wide with wonder. This is not merely another Yom Kippur. This is Yom Kippur 5786. A day long foretold. A day when the shofar's call will pierce not just the air of Jerusalem, but the consciousness of mankind. Security personnel stand vigilant, their eyes scanning the crowds. Journalists from global networks position their cameras. The world watches Jerusalem today. Even those who understand little of Jewish tradition sense something profound. Something ancient awakens. The Day of Atonement. In this troubled time carries weight beyond measure. The skyline of Jerusalem stands timeless against modern troubles. The golden dome of the rock catches the fading light, a reminder of the city's complex spiritual tapestry. Visitors from every continent arrive hourly at Ben Gurion Airport, many having booked their journeys months in advance when signs first appeared. Hotels overflow, homes open their doors to strangers. The hospitality commanded in ancient texts manifests in practical reality as Jerusalem embraces her children returning home. The call echoes from ancient texts, from prophecies spoken millennia ago. The prophet Joel declared, "Blow the trumpet in Zion, sanctify a fast, call a solemn assembly." That assembly gathers now, not by human planning alone, but by divine orchestration. The chief rabbinate announced unprecedented participation. Religious leaders from 70 nations accepted invitations to observe. Representatives from diverse faiths journey alongside the faithful of Israel. Special prayers were composed for this occasion, prayers that bridge ancient tradition with contemporary urgency. The world's attention turns to this holy city as tensions worldwide create a backdrop of uncertainty. Many speak of signs in the heavens, of patterns in world events that align with scriptural predictions. Rabbinical authorities point to the particular alignment of this year in the Hebrew calendar, the convergence of cycles and prophecies. Shofars have been prepared by craftsmen working day and night, each one inspected, each one sanctified. Some carried from generations past, others newly created from Ramses' horns gathered specially for this day. The streets fall silent as the hour approaches. Even traffic in modern Jerusalem halts in reverence. The digital billboards of modern Jerusalem dim voluntarily. Cell phones are silenced without official request. There is understanding that this moment transcends ordinary time. Scholars have studied this particular Yom Kippur for decades, noting its placement in biblical cycles of Jubilee and sabbatical years. The precise configuration of sacred time aligns with ancient markers. Even skeptical academics acknowledge the statistical improbability of so many prophetic indicators converging simultaneously. What was written unfolds before our eyes. The ancient words find flesh in our generation. Isaiah's vision manifests, "It shall come to pass in that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish." Those words breathe now. They walk among us. The gathering exceeds all previous Yom Kippur assemblies in modern Israel. Officials confirm over 1 million souls converge on Jerusalem's holy sites. Technology allows billions more to witness remotely. The prophecy of Zechariah resonates, "And I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of supplications." That spirit moves visibly through the assembled masses. Many weep openly, overcome by the weight of the moment. Scholars note the precise alignment of celestial bodies on this day. The rare configuration spoken of in ancient texts, signs above and signs below, the faithful and the skeptical alike pause to consider. Social media platforms report unprecedented traffic focused on Jerusalem. The words of the prophets trend worldwide. Ancient prophecy meets modern hashtags. Digital connections amplify the analog devotion displayed in Jerusalem's stone courtyards. Even secular observers acknowledge the historical magnitude. Something profound transpires before the eyes of this generation. Medical professionals report unexplainable phenomena throughout Jerusalem hospitals. Patients with long-term conditions experience sudden improvements. The blind describe seeing light. The deaf report hearing sounds for the first time in years. Scientific instruments detect unusual electromagnetic patterns centered over the Temple Mount. Physicists struggle to explain readings that defy conventional understanding. The veil between dimensions seems to thin perceptibly. It happens now, not in distant history, not in future speculation. The fulfillment unfolds in real time. The plaza before the Western Wall resembles an ocean of white-clad humanity. The faithful sway in prayer, their bodies becoming vessels of ancient devotion. Tears stream down weathered faces and youthful cheeks alike. The atmosphere grows thick with expectation. You can almost touch it, breathe it, taste it in the dry Jerusalem air. Television crews broadcast live to 6 continents. Satellites beam images to nations that once knew nothing of Israel's traditions. Smartphones capture personal perspectives shared instantly across digital platforms. The moment transcends religious boundaries. Christians recognize echoes of their own prophecies. Muslims observe with respectful distance. Secular Jews find themselves unexpectedly moved. The veil between the material and spiritual worlds seems tissue-thin. Many report unusual phenomena throughout the city. Lights in unexpected places, sounds that defy explanation. The feeling that unseen presences crowd alongside the visible assembly. Jerusalem has witnessed much through millennia, but those present today sense unprecedented significance. This moment belongs not just to history books, but to prophecy fulfilled. The world's greatest scientists, philosophers, and theological minds fall silent in observation. Words fail even the most eloquent commentators. Something beyond language transpires. The gap between faith and empirical observation narrows to nothing. Those who document this day struggle later to find vocabulary adequate to the experience. How does one describe the indescribable? How capture the eternal breaking into time? Listen to their voices. The prayers rise in dozens of languages. Hebrew dominates, but English, Spanish, French, Russian, Arabic, Amharic, and countless others blend in the acoustic tapestry. An elderly Holocaust survivor clutches a weathered prayer book. His numbers, tattooed decades ago, visible on his forearm as he raises his hands heavenward. A young mother lifts her child to see above the crowds. "Remember this day," she whispers. "Tell your children someday." Students from yeshivas recite Torah passages from memory. Their voices strong, confident yet humble before eternal words. Pilgrims who saved for years to make this journey stand shoulder to shoulder with Jerusalem residents. Wealth and poverty disappear in the equality of white garments. Orthodox Jews with long beards and side curls pray alongside secular Israelis who felt inexplicably drawn today. Foreign dignitaries observe from designated areas, their normal protocols set aside in recognition of something greater unfolding. The prayers intensify. The voices rise and fall like waves against Jerusalem's ancient stones. Personal supplications blend with liturgical recitations. Words spoken by ancestors echo from living lips. The crowd moves as one entity, swaying, bowing, standing, sitting, united in this sacred choreography. A rabbi from New York stands beside a farmer from the Negev. A tech entrepreneur from Tel Aviv prays alongside a Hasidic teacher from Meir Sherim. Former enemies find themselves united in this moment. The distinctions that normally divide humanity fade before the weight of the eternal. Political differences, theological disputes, cultural divides all seem momentarily insignificant beneath the canopy of ancient covenant. Then comes the moment. The shofar is raised. Silence falls instantly over the massive gathering. 1,000,000 souls hold their breath together. The ram's horn gleams in the fading light. The designated shofar blower, chosen through rigorous selection, takes his position. He inhales deeply. His chest expands. His lips meet the narrow end of the ancient instrument. The first blast pierces the silence. Tekiah, a long, straight blast that seems to penetrate stone and flesh alike. It echoes off the western wall, reverberating through the old city. Some fall to their knees at the sound. Others raise their hands skyward. The second type follows. Shevarim. 3 broken sounds like sighing or weeping. They speak of brokenness and repentance. The crowd responds with audible emotion. Teruah follows, 9 rapid staccato blasts that shake the very air. The pattern repeats, Tekiah again, Shevarim again, Teruah again, and finally Tekiah Gedolah, the great blast. The shofar blower's face reddens. Veins stand out on his forehead. The note extends beyond human expectation. 30 seconds, 45, 1 minute. The sound penetrates to the marrow of all who hear it. Something shifts in the spiritual atmosphere. Those present will later struggle to describe it, but none will forget it. Birds circle above Jerusalem in unusual patterns during the shofar blasts. Observers report that the animals move in formations resembling ancient Hebrew letters. Scientists, recording the shofar's acoustics, find frequencies that affect human brainwaves in unprecedented ways. The sound penetrates deeper than physical hearing. It resonates with something foundational in human consciousness. Even those watching remotely report physical sensations as the final Tekiah Gedolah extends beyond natural capacity. The shofar blower himself later testifies that he felt carried by something beyond his own strength, that the breath flowed through him rather than from him. Remember the generations who dreamed of this day. For nearly 2 millennia, Jews concluded their Passover Seders with the words, "Next year in Jerusalem." For centuries, that remained an unfulfilled wish. Our ancestors prayed facing this city from distant lands. They lived and died, never seeing the Western Wall. Yet they believed this day would come. The elderly weep most profoundly. They recall when Jerusalem was divided, when Jews had no access to their holiest sites. They remember 1967, when soldiers reached the Western Wall and wept. "The Temple Mount is in our hands," the commander radioed then. That reunion made this day possible. Earlier generations of pioneers drained swamps and made deserts bloom. They revived Hebrew from a liturgical language to a living tongue. Each contributed to this moment. Holocaust survivors among the crowd bear witness to promises kept, from death camps to the holy city within one lifetime. Ancient scrolls preserved through centuries unfold their meanings today. The Dead Sea Scrolls predicted gatherings in the last days. Documents hidden for millennia speak to this very assembly. Traditions maintained through persecution now flourish openly. Prayers whispered in secret cellars now resound from loudspeakers. The chain remains unbroken. Among the crowd stand descendants of Marranos, Spanish Jews forced to practice in secret for centuries. Their ancestors lit Sabbath candles behind closed shutters while displaying Christian symbols on their doors. Today, their children stand openly Jewish in Jerusalem. Ethiopian Jews who carried ancient traditions in isolation for generations now reunite with the mainstream of their people. The tapestry of exile and return completes another significant panel. The ingathering promised by prophets continues before our eyes. A living museum of faithfulness spans the Western Wall Plaza. From the most ancient traditions to the most recently returned tribes, all converge at this sacred nexus. Feel the weight of this hour. Something eternal presses into temporal reality. The veil thins between worlds seen and unseen. Many report sensing ancestors standing alongside them, grandparents who perished in pogroms, family lost in death camps, the generations who kept faith through millennia of exile. The atmosphere grows heavy with significance. Hardened journalists find themselves weeping without explanation. Skeptics feel certainties waver. The spiritual gravity affects even the most detached observers. Medical teams report unusual phenomena, spontaneous healings, reconciliations between estranged family members, sudden clarity coming to troubled minds. The collective experience transcends individual perception. This is larger than personal faith or doubt. Rabbi David Lau speaks of the footsteps of Messiah being heard. Christian observers whisper of signs of the times. Muslim onlookers speak respectfully of divine visitation. Even the secular acknowledge the historic significance unfolding before them. The weight feels almost physical, as if time itself grows dense around Jerusalem today. The air vibrates with unseen energy. The stones themselves seem to pulse with expectancy. This weight will mark those present for the remainder of their days. They have stood at a hinge of history, a moment when eternity touches time. Prophetic scholars note the precise date in relation to ancient calendrical prophecies. The day falls exactly within parameters described in Daniel's prophecies. The mathematical precision of biblical chronology converges on this particular Yom Kippur. Astronomical alignments mirror those described in ancient texts. The sun, moon, and stars position themselves according to patterns foretold millennia ago. Even the skeptical begin to question whether randomness could produce such precise convergence. What does this signify? The convergence of prophecy and current events speaks volumes. Global tensions have reached unprecedented levels. Environmental signs multiply worldwide. Economic systems show increasing instability. Moral foundations crumble in many societies. Yet here, ancient practices continue. The eternal stands firm amid temporal chaos. Many point to prophetic timelines reaching culmination. The fig tree blossomed in 1948 when Israel was reborn. Jerusalem reunified in 1967. The ingathering of exiles continues daily. Jews return from the four corners of the earth. Ethiopian Jews, Indian Jews, Chinese Jews. The lost tribes slowly reassemble. Technology enables prophecy's fulfillment, instant global communication, mass transportation, satellite observation. Tools unimaginable to ancient prophets serve their predictions. The precise timing of celestial events aligns with biblical chronologies. Solar and lunar cycles, planetary conjunctions, stars appearing and disappearing as foretold. Religious scholars debate interpretations urgently. Some see the end, others see a beginning. All recognize pivotal significance. The shofar's call today marks a moment on heaven's timetable, a cosmic milestone observed on earth. The seventh trumpet mentioned in ancient texts, the last trump that signals transformation. Recent archaeological discoveries beneath Jerusalem have uncovered artifacts precisely matching prophetic descriptions, ancient seals bearing names mentioned in Scripture, temple implements hidden before destruction. The physical evidence aligns with written prophecy in ways that confound coincidence. Political developments worldwide mirror ancient predictions with startling accuracy. Nations align exactly as foretold by Ezekiel, Daniel, and other prophets. The global stage arranges itself according to a script written millennia ago. Even the skeptical struggle to explain the precision of fulfillment. This day marks not conclusion, but continuation. The prophetic timeline unfolds according to divine choreography. Today represents one significant milestone. Many more await fulfillment. The gathered assembly disperses slowly as evening deepens. Their faces show transformation. Something has changed within them. Something has changed in the world. The effects will ripple outward from Jerusalem. Nation will speak to nation of what transpired here. The seeds planted today will germinate in coming seasons. Economic initiatives announced during the surrounding festival days. Peace negotiations scheduled in the wake of this gathering. Environmental cooperation pledged by former adversaries. The spiritual atmosphere creates space for material progress. Ancient prophecies speak of the desert blooming, of water flowing from Jerusalem, of nations streaming to this holy mountain. Seeds of those realities sprout visibly now. The prophets described progressive fulfillment, not sudden completion, but steady unfolding. The shofar's call initiates new phases of ancient promises. Preparations begin tomorrow for next year's observance. The planning already incorporates expanded facilities, greater technological integration, more inclusive participation. The story continues. The scroll unfurls further. Heaven's timetable advances one significant notch. Agricultural innovations developed in Israel already transform desert regions globally. Israeli water technology brings life to formerly barren regions across Africa and Asia. The prophetic promise that Israel would bless all nations manifests in practical ways. Ecological restoration projects initiated in Jerusalem now spread to other conflict zones. Former enemies cooperate in healing the earth. The sacred and secular intertwine as ancient wisdom informs modern challenges. A new awareness awakens that the material and spiritual realms connect inseparably. What happens in one affects the other profoundly. The world watches with bated breath. CNN, BBC, Al Jazeera, and networks from every continent broadcast simultaneously. Social media platforms crash temporarily under unprecedented traffic. The hashtag Jerusalem Shofar trends globally. People from nations with no historical connection to Judaism watch transfixed. Remote villages in Africa gather around community screens. Buddhist monasteries in Tibet pause their routines to witness. Indigenous peoples in the Amazon receive satellite transmissions of the ceremony. Humanity pauses collectively. Even those who understand nothing of the tradition sense the significance. World leaders issue statements acknowledging the historic moment. Financial markets pause trading briefly during the shofar blasts. A rare moment of global unity emerges around this ancient ritual. Nations historically hostile to Israel offer respectful commentary. Scientific institutions record measurable changes during the ceremony. Seismic instruments detect subtle vibrations throughout Jerusalem. Electromagnetic fluctuations register on sensitive equipment. The earth itself seems to respond to the shofar's call. What transpires in Jerusalem reverberates physically and spiritually worldwide. The prophets spoke of all nations being affected. Today, that prophecy finds literal fulfillment through global communications. The world does not merely observe, it participates in its way, bearing witness to prophecy unfolding. Unrelated religious communities worldwide report synchronistic experiences during the Jerusalem ceremony. Tibetan monks in remote monasteries describe unusual meditative states occurring precisely during the shofar blasts. Indigenous elders in Australia speak of dreamtime visions aligning with events in Jerusalem. Scientists monitoring global consciousness projects record unprecedented coherence in random number generators during the ceremony. The phenomenon defies conventional explanation. Something fundamental shifts in the collective human experience, transcending cultural and religious boundaries. The moment proves both particular to Jerusalem and universal in its resonance. The day closes, but the story continues. The sun sets over Jerusalem, concluding Yom Kippur 5786. Stars appear in the clear night sky, the same stars that watched Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that guided the Israelites through wilderness wanderings, that witnessed David's kingdom and Solomon's temple. that shone over exile and return. The faithful complete their fasting with communal meals. Breaking bread together, they discuss the day's events in hushed tones. "Did you feel it?" they ask one another. "Did you see?" Words fail to capture the full experience. Already, the reports spread worldwide. Already, interpretations multiply. But those who stood present know something beyond explanation transpired. They carry it in their bodies, in their souls. The shofar's echo continues in their hearing long after the actual sound fades. Jerusalem settles into night, but remains sleepless. The weight of glory lingers. The divine visitation leaves its mark. History has hinged today. Though most continue their normal lives tomorrow, nothing remains quite the same. The prophet spoke of a day when the shofar would sound and the world would change. Perhaps today, perhaps a prelude to that day. Either way, those who witnessed will tell their children and their children's children. "I was there," they will say. "I heard the shofar on that great day in Jerusalem." And the story continues. For prophecy unfolds not in single moments, but across the tapestry of time. Listen still, watch still. The greatest chapters may yet lie ahead. Rabbinical scholars already begin documenting today's events in comprehensive detail. Their records will join ancient texts for future generations to study. Digital archives preserve millions of personal testimonies from those present. A living historical record, unparalleled in scope, emerges. Artists feel compelled to create in response to what they witnessed. Musicians compose new works inspired by the shofar's call. Painters attempt to capture the ineffable on canvas. Poets struggle to find words adequate to the experience. Something new enters human consciousness. Something ancient yet perpetually renewed. The story of Jerusalem continues its unfolding. The sacred city breathes another significant breath in its eternal life. And those who witnessed know they have been changed forever.